Okay, everybody, welcome to the presentation. For those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I was just talking to my friends there on Facebook, YouTube, and, well, on TikTok. And so certainly it is, yeah. Okay, everybody, welcome to the presentation. Thank you for being here on this Friday. By the way, it's Friday, if you don't know. I tell you what, anytime there's a Friday, I'm like, woohoo, it is good times. Let me open it up on my Facebook page so everybody can join us, because it's one of those things you have to do. Because if you don't, well, then people complain because it's not open up to them. Okay, hang on, everybody. Let me just open this up on Facebook, and then we'll get ready for the presentation. I always have to do this. I've changed the privacy every time, but Facebook, whatever. Okay, there we go. Now we are live everywhere. All right. Okay, everybody, it's Friday. Welcome to Paranormal Friday. A couple things before we get started on the presentation. We're going to have a good show tonight, by the way. I'm looking forward to this because I love this topic. Of course, I love the place. So first of all, I want you to go to the sponsors of the shows. I'm here on Sundays and Wednesdays for Bible studies at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here on Fridays right now, today, 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. Eastern Standard for Paranormal. And I'm also here tomorrow from 8 to 10 for our open mic night. So we're here a lot, and we appreciate the sponsors of the show. And who it is? KGRADB.com. That's what you need to know. KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. Make sure you go to that website, folks. If you love the paranormal like I do, and I don't want to apologize to anybody because I love the paranormal, and I do. So if you like it, you got to go to the site and make sure you subscribe. It's very inexpensive. They have some really phenomenal shows on the site. And yes, the Sacred Division, which you're watching now, is on that show, is on the website. Make sure you put Bishop as your promo code, because if you do, you're going to get 30% off your subscription. So why not? So, I mean, it's already very inexpensive. But if you're going to save 30%, save 30%. Now, if you want to go to my website, if you want to know a little bit about me, you're just simple, bishopjameslong.com, bishopjameslong.com. You can go there and check out the website. Also, by the way, on that website, bishopjameslong.com, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, we have night prayer Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll have night prayer tonight. If you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. So simply go to bishopjameslong.com, scroll down to the very bottom. You'll see night prayer there. Just click it. It takes you right there to the link. Easy. And then, of course, the church's website. Everybody asks about the church. What's the difference of the church? Okay, usocc.org. That's the name of the URL for the church's website. And there you go. And that is all the fun-filled, exciting, woohoo, good times, all the websites. So bishopjameslong.com, usocc.org. So moderators, if people say, what's the difference between this and usocc.org, bishopjameslong.com, and then we'll get people going and hopefully having a good time. Tonight, wherever you are. Well, let's see. Somebody had an energy shot. Well, yeah, I took a little 5-hour energy drink, just a little, right before I went on air, but because you have to be up, you have to get going. Now, I know that October is right around the corner. And fall is here, and I am ready for it. I am ready for fall. I'm ready for fall weather. I'm ready for all the haunted activities and the haunted house. Let me just change. Let me move this over. There we go. The haunted houses and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to it because I just love the fall weather. That's what I love. Wherever you are, hopefully, if you have fall in your region, I don't know. I don't know if everybody watching has the same 4 seasons, but we do, and I'm looking forward to it. And I also, I love the paranormal. I love the paranormal community. So let me just, before we get onto the show, I want to say this. The paranormal is not evil. And I don't know why some people think that the paranormal is just some terrible, horrible place and that or horrible thing that you shouldn't get involved. That's just nonsense. That is just nonsense. Yeah, there are some people that perhaps are doing things in the paranormal that they shouldn't do. And I've been talking about that for now 20 years. For those of you who don't know me, well, thank you very much there, Kimberly. I appreciate that. And for those of you who have no idea why I'm saying thank you, it's because my friends there on TikTok, they offer gifts to the ministry. When you're on TikTok, sometimes people will offer you gifts. And that's it. I appreciate that. So thank you for that. And don't forget to subscribe. Folks, our subscribers down on TikTok has plummeted. So please, we got to get those subscriptions back up. It's really important. So I appreciate you subscribing and letting people know about the channel and to subscribe. We absolutely appreciate that. Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Mama. And let me just say, TikTok, if you offer gifts to the ministry, if I don't say thank you, I apologize, because I run the show on 3 different computers. So sometimes I can't see, so I try to. So if I say thank you, is people who is offering gifts to the ministry. That's what I'm just let everybody know. So, okay. The paranormal community has had a lot of ups and downs through the years. I've been involved in the community for a very long time, for over 2 decades. And I got to tell you, it has changed. There were some good days and there have been some bad days. I was back in the paranormal community when online radio was in its infancy. Now, online radio is everywhere now. Anybody can do an online radio show. But I was involved back in 2003 when I went live. So with the Sacred Division. So the Sacred Division has been running for 20 years now. 20 years. That's what the name of the show is, the Sacred Division. And I came up with that name because it was just so unique to me. I thought that was really cool. Because it is a sacred division between good and evil. And so we've been on, I was on the History Channel, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I can't remember what it was. But they wanted to fly me up to New York to talk about the sounds of hell. That apparently, the old thing that they dropped the microphone down this huge shaft and you heard these screaming. Anyway, the History Channel wanted to film me doing a live Sacred Division show back in the day. And we did. And so that was a lot of fun. And so we actually they aired it. I think it's called The Sounds of Hell. I think that's the name of the show on History Channel. But yes, I did Ghost Adventures. I've lost a lot of weight since then, and that's good. That's a good thing. So I did 3 episodes with Bobby Mackey's, with the Ghost Adventures guys. I am friends with Zach. I speak to Zach. I like Zach, and of course, gosh, there's been so many shows through the years. The Exorcism Live at the Exorcist house. I was there with Chip Coffey, and I got a lot of hate. From doing that show. And all it was a house blessing. That was it. I was just blessing the house. It was the actual house in St. Louis, the Exorcist house. And that was in 2015. I've done a lot of television, and I've let people, the reason is I did a lot of television shows. And of course, with the new show, Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists show that aired on the Travel Channel and Max. So you can stream now all the episodes. That I loved it because it was so unique. It was so different. And as a matter of fact, this little doll that you see right behind me was actually aired on the episode. I think it was the first episode they aired. And so that's it right here. There she is. For you guys can't see it, I'm sorry. They're on Clapper, but on TikTok, this is her, and Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So. And I'll be going to a paranormal conference. So let me just say this first before I got to let you guys know exactly where it is. I don't want to tell you the wrong information. If you're going to be in Arkansas, I am going to be at a paranormal conference. And I really like this because it is a fundraising event for let me just tell you what it is. So the Arkansas Paranormal Expo is benefiting as a benefit supporting the MacArthur Museum of Arkansas military history. I love that. The Tower building, which was built in 1840, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and the birthplace of General Douglas MacArthur. It is our mission, they say, to raise funds to help preserve this beautiful historic building. Isn't that cool? So if you're going to be it's in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'm going to put this on my website. That way I need to update this to let you guys know, like, appearances, and because the people have asked. But it's in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's on the 20, hold on. I think it's 28th and 29th. Yes, it is the 28th and 29th. And I will be speaking on Sunday. I don't know what time yet, but I'll be speaking on Sunday. And please consider going there. I will be having several items with me, and I will be taking her. So she'll be going with me along with an actual original painting for John Wayne Gacy. Thank you very much, Jill. I'll bring the paintings with me, so you'll see those as well. Dahmer's glasses. Jeffrey Dahmer. I will bring that and several other items that I will have. Okay. And that's going to be at the MacArthur Museum of Arkansas Military History in Little Rock, Arkansas. So please consider going. And I would love to see you there. And I'll put it on my Facebook, on my website. I need to update my website, so let you guys know. Okay? All right. If you want to contact me, guys, this is how you do it. I won't. Emma, trust me, I won't. Emma said, don't put her next to your computer. Believe me, I would. No. If you want to contact me, let's say that you have an issue in your home. This is what I want. You need to contact me on Facebook. Okay, just contact me on Facebook. Go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, and you'll see where it says social media links. Click on the Facebook, and send me a message. But you got to make sure you send it to the right message, to the right Facebook, because I have several. Thank you there, Jody. Thank you. So I will update the website hopefully tonight or tomorrow. Now, tomorrow night, we're going to be here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we have open mic night. And Miss Wilma will be with us, and we'll have a good time, joke around. And then, of course, I'll answer all your paranormal demonology questions as well. Tonight, this is how we do the show. I present a topic. I teach about that topic for the first hour. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll have some really cool articles that I found online that I want to share with you. Some of these articles are crazy. And I'll also answer your questions. That's how we do this presentation. So thank you there, Jody. So for the first hour, I'm going to do a presentation until 8 o'clock. Tonight's presentation is going to be, it's a place that's dear to my heart. I live in Kentucky. I have been to this place many, many times. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Thank you, Frank. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Folks, I got to tell you something. If you've never been to Waverly, if you love the paranormal like I do, and if you love history like I do, you've got to visit Waverly Hills. Waverly Hills is massive. It is huge. Truly, it's and very, very active. It's really interesting. There are trees everywhere, and it's right next to a golf course. And when you go up the hill, you really can't see it. And then when you turn just a little bit, it opens up, and this big behemoth of a building, massive building, just pops up right there. It is crazy. Oh, you never heard of Waverly Hills? Oh gosh, Waverly Hills is insane. So let me teach you a little bit about, and I'm going to show you some pictures tonight too. Hopefully it'll work. Some pictures that have been caught of apparitions, and we'll be talking about that. So do me a favor, moderators, just remind people that I'll be answering questions at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, that way on TikTok, because I don't want to ignore people. Thank you, Lisa. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Waverly Hills, it's a historic site. For those of you who don't know, it is located in Louisville, Kentucky. And actually, I believe it's ranked the 10th most haunted location in the entire world. I believe it is. And from my understanding, it was also, I think, the 6th most haunted location in the United States. I believe I'm correct. If I'm not, just let me know. Oh, that's okay, Caesar. You're welcome. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm on YouTube as well. Misty, sorry about that. Oh, thank you, Bill. Thank you for the universe. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Okay. So I think it's the 10th most haunted location in the world, and I think it's the 6th most haunted location in the United States. Its construction actually began in 1908 with the intention of serving as a hospital for tuberculosis patients. You see, you have to understand, back in 1908, at that time, tuberculosis, also known as the White Plague, that was rampant, and it was incredibly contagious. It was a terrible disease. The pain and suffering that one had to endure when you had it was horrible. It affected millions of people worldwide. As a matter of fact, Miss Wilma, her dad, thank you, Jody, her dad was a patient at Waverly Hills. So tomorrow we're gonna talk to her a little bit about, and she'll tell you about her experience there. She didn't like it because she couldn't get, she always see her dad at a distance. So for her, memory of Waverly Hills was rough, obviously, because he had tuberculosis. So we'll talk about that. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. And again, for those of you, if I keep saying thank you, it's because, as I've explained. Okay, the sanatorium was originally designed to accommodate 40 to 50 patients. That's it. However, due to the rapid spread of tuberculosis, the demand for treatment facilities became overwhelming. And the hospital quickly expanded to hold over 400 patients. In Louisville at that time, tuberculosis was really bad. I mean, it was terrible. And there were very few hospitals that actually focused on tuberculosis, because really, like I said, there was no cure. And although it was highly contagious, and they deemed it the White Plague, once you got it, if you didn't live close to a hospital that helped, that you were in trouble. You were in big trouble. The facility's design was state of the art, the best. I mean, it was truly magnificent for its time. It had separate rooms for patients. There was fresh air ventilation systems. It actually even had its own, hello there, Rich, its own power plant. You have to understand, Waverly Hills was pretty much, it's like its own little city. People lived there. The workers lived there. It had its own postal code, the post office. It was its own little tiny city. And because obviously people didn't want to go back and forth from working at Waverly Hills to go back home, because they were afraid that they're going to give it to their family. During its prime years of operation, from 1910 to 1961, Waverly Hills Sanatorium was at the forefront of tuberculosis treatment and research. That was one of the best hospitals that you could go to in the entire United States, and even in the world. I mean, if you were able to get to Waverly Hills, you were blessed, because it was truly a state-of-the-art facility. People from all around the United States went to Waverly Hills who had tuberculosis. The hospital utilized innovative techniques as heliotherapy, which involved exposing patients to sunlight as a means of aiding their recovery for the vitamin D. However, Rich, you've never. Rich Valdez says he's a demonologist for the church, and he's in the chat room. Rich, have you ever been to Waverly? I didn't. My goodness. Yeah, let me know. I didn't know that. I've been there many times, investigated there many times. It's amazing. Amazing. However, with the introduction of antibiotics and improved medical practices in the mid-20th century, the need for specialized tuberculosis hospitals like Waverly Hills, it diminished. So obviously tuberculosis, thankfully, became treatable once antibiotics were created. The facility actually gradually shifted its focus and began to house patients with other illnesses, such as the mental health condition. It was truly what nightmares are made of. And it is such a sad story to see tuberculosis being the best hospital, one of the best hospitals in the world for tuberculosis, to then mental health. Despite its significant contributions to medical history, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium has gained more notoriety for its alleged haunted reputation. However, I would say it's more than alleged. Over the years, numerous paranormal experiences have been reported by visitors and staff alike. And this has led to its classification as one of the most haunted locations in the United States, including the world, attracting investigators, paranormal enthusiasts, and even curiosity seekers. And I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, I believe it was voted, I'm pretty sure, the 10th most haunted location in the world. And I believe it was the 6th most haunted location in the United States, I believe. Ghost. Let me say this, because I think that needs to be understood. There's a lot of people that say that ghosts don't exist, and that's not biblical. And that's what they say. People say that to me all the time. Well, folks, that's just simply not true. I disagree with that. I disagree. And as a matter of fact, not only do I disagree, but I can actually argue from a theological perspective that ghosts do exist. And here's why. If you're going to argue the Bible with me, okay, fine. Then I want you to read Matthew chapter 14, verse 26. Matthew chapter 14, verse 26. Remember, Jesus walked on water, and the scripture says, when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, cried out in fear. Okay, Luke chapter 24, verse 36 through 51. Remember, Jesus was crucified, and then he appeared to his disciples, and they were terrified. What did they say? It says they were frightened and terrified because they thought they were seeing a ghost. But Jesus said, why are you so frightened? Why do you doubt? Look at my hands and feet and see who I am. Touch me and find out for yourselves. Ghosts don't have flesh and bones as you see that I have. So I've said this a million times. What does that tell us? Well, it tells us a couple things. Number one, it tells us that the disciples, for 20 years I've been teaching this, for 20 years, it tells us that the disciples had the concept of what ghosts were. And certainly they believed in ghosts, because otherwise, if they didn't, they wouldn't think that they were seeing one. So they had the concept of ghost. And it also tells us that Jesus did not rebuke them and say, don't be stupid, ghosts don't exist. That's not what he said. Rather, he clarified their perception by saying ghosts don't have flesh and bones as you see that I have. So therefore, we see clearly in Scripture, I absolutely am convinced that ghosts, human spirits, no doubt, I know they exist. And I tell you, if they, as an investigator, as an exorcist, as someone who has investigated thousands of locations, I can tell you ghosts exist. Now, there are people say, well, I don't believe it. Well, okay, that's an opinion, and you have that right to believe that. But I'm telling you this as a person who has investigated a lot of locations. And I can verify from my experience and from the evidence that I've captured, no doubt that ghosts exist. No, I don't know. I don't. That's a good question. Thank you, Tamara. I don't believe ghosts are demonic. No, because I have had a lot of activity where there was a haunting, and I know this. I know I asked no questions, but hold on. Because I've investigated a lot of locations, and thank you. Is it Deb? Thank you. A lot of locations where it was not violent. The activity was not violent at all. And it was just simply activity that was paranormal in nature. And then I've investigated locations where, in fact, it was very, very violent. So I have not found that to be true from my investigations as an investigator. The first time I investigated was 35 years ago. So, demons are demonic. Absolutely. I 100%. Yeah. Yeah. We're in agreement with that. Well, the modern concept, but people, and that's a good question. Angela says, could the biblical concept of ghosts be different than the modern concept? True statement. However, it did not say in the Septuagint, it did not say anything, or even the Greek translation of demonic. People say, well, they meant demonic. Nope. It's a completely and totally different spelling. 100%. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation, folks. I promise you, I'll get to your questions. I promise. I'll get to them. But let's get through the sanatorium, Waverly Hills. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, for those of you who don't know, it's located in Louisville, Kentucky. It's gained a reputation for its dark history and stories of tragedy and death. Now, it was originally officially built in 1910 to treat tuberculosis patients, but it quickly became overwhelmed due to a national outbreak of the disease of tuberculosis. Now, during its peak, Waverly Hills Sanatorium became a place of immense suffering and mortality. Thousands of patients were admitted, and many succumbed to the horrors of the disease. And the overcrowded conditions, the lack of proper medical knowledge, and the absence of effective treatments quite exacerbated the already dire situation. It was truly. Yeah, so I think we can say that it was fair to say it was a terrible situation. The high death toll at Waverly Hills has given rise to various stories and urban legends that continue to circulate to this very day. So here are some notable tales about tuberculosis. Excuse me, about tuberculosis and the hospital. So here are some of the things. Oh, it did. Okay. All right. Let's get into some of the stories. First of all, the death tunnel. Now, I've been to the death tunnel many times, and I got to tell you something. If you're going to walk down the death tunnel, you need to be prepared to walk back up, because it's a long walk. It's not a short walk, and it is creepy. It is creepy. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, excuse me, has an underground tunnel that was supposed to transport deceased patients discreetly and to supply the hospital with the necessary goods. It is said that this tunnel, known as the Death Tunnel, is haunted by the ghosts of those who died in the hospital. Visitors often claim to hear whispers, which I've heard, footsteps, which I have heard, and see shadowy figures in the eerie passageway. I did not see that, but I did hear whispers and footsteps. The reason is they did the death tunnel is because so many people were dying at Waverly Hills due to tuberculosis that it was affecting the patient's morale. So they decided to have this body chute, basically, where it goes way down the hill, and at the very end, at the end, obviously, is a hearse. And so they really didn't want the patients, because it was an open air kind of a thing. On the balcony, they could come out. They pushed their beds out in the walkway so they can get fresh air and sunlight. And many times when they did that, they would see the hearse pull up, and because it was constantly. And so they decided that we needed to have a body chute. And that was smart, because then that eliminated people seeing that. I'm trying to find this. I'm hoping it doesn't mess up. Hold on, everybody, because I know that I have. So hopefully that. Wait a minute, because I want to see if it does. Because there was a statistic. There it is. That I wanted to share how bad this was. Okay, here it is. Over 60,000 plus died at Waverly Hills at the height of the epidemic. When you break it down, it was one patient per hour died. And so that's one of the reasons why the body chute was created, obviously, and which we can understand. 1943, by the way, a cure was found for tuberculosis, and in 1961, Waverly closed. It was reopened in 1962, as Woodhaven Geriatric Sanatorium, and electroshock therapy was done. There was some patient abuse, unusual experiments and treatments, and horrible conditions led to the state actually closing it down in 1982. It is, yes, it is voted as the 10th most haunted place in the world. And actually, it was voted the second most scariest place in America. For those of you who don't know what tuberculosis felt like, the throat closes up, the chest feels like it will explode, lungs on fire, fever, and a lack of oxygen to the brain. The capillaries in the eyes sometimes explode from violent coughing, and lungs disintegrate, and you cough up blood. Skin turns ghostly white from a lack of red blood cells. So obviously, tuberculosis was rough. It was rough. But 60,000, one per hour. And I can't, that's just unbelievable. So let me tell you a couple things about this, and we're going to continue on. Some other people have claimed that they've seen shadow people. I can tell you 100%. I have seen a lot of shadow people at Waverly Hills. A lot. There's a lot of debate as far as, thank you very much, Whiskey. There's a lot of debate as far as what are shadow people. In some cases, when I've seen shadow people, it was demonic. And then there have been other cases where I've seen shadow people and it was not demonic. Now, many visitors at Waverly Hills report seeing shadowy figures lurking in the hallways and rooms. And these figures are believed to be the apparitions of former patients who met their untimely demise within the walls of within the sanatorium. There's also a room on the top floor, and that's the 502. So there's a story there, and I've been there many times as well. Room 502 is said to be one of the most haunted locations in Waverly Hills. Legend has it that a nurse who had been caring for patients on the 5th floor, she decided to, there were some pressures, and I got to be careful because there's some words I can't say because I'll be, kicked off. And so she decided she couldn't live with it anymore. Okay. And allegedly she jumped. This is a very tall building. And people can today claim that they can hear her cries and feel her lingering presence in the area. I can tell you that when I went to and I saw 502, I absolutely heard it sounded like someone was saying something. I couldn't make it out. It was a disembodied voice, and there was no one around me. There's also a child ghost. Now, when it comes to children ghosts, folks, this is my spidey senses go up. Because when I'm very, very cautious about children ghost. I have found, well, thank you there. I have found that when that happens, many times it's demonic. So it is said that spirits of children who died at Waverly Hills still haunt the premise. You have to remember that they also had a lot of kids who lived there. Thank you. They had a lot of kids who lived at Waverly Hills. And visitors often report hearing laughter, voices, and the sound of footsteps belonging to children. Here's what's even crazier. On the very top, they would never do that today. On the very top of Waverly Hills, they had like a playground and where children could swing. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? I mean, this was a huge, there's no way they would never do something like that today. But this was way up in the very top. A lot of people have captured EVPs, which stands for electronic voice phenomena, on the digital recorders. Many paranormal investigators and visitors claim to have captured them, or unexplained voices or sounds within the sanatorium. There have also been reports of objects moving on their own, sudden cold spots. That has happened to me many times. An intense feeling of being watched or touched. Now, by the way, I went there one time with my friend Bishop David Price, and we were there. It was in the summertime. It was hot, and Waverly Hills. Thank you. Waverly Hills is not air conditioned in the actual hospital itself, in the building. We were walking down the hallway, and it was hot. and we were talking about, and we both felt like something was watching us. I mean, it was just no question, no doubt about it. Something was watching us, and we both felt it. But it went from like 90 degrees, terrible hot, like Kentucky weather, really humid, to it seemed like the temperature dropped to 60 degrees. And it was just like that. And we both experienced it. It was like someone had turned on the air conditioning in that spot. And I'll never forget it. Never, ever, ever forget that. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything, but I absolutely experienced it. No question about it. A lot of people have said that they've seen shadowy figures. Some people say apparitions. Some have reported seeing the apparition of a nurse pushing a gurney, while others have seen patients dressed in old-fashioned clothing wandering the halls. And these apparitions are said to be residual energy. Residual energy, for those of you who don't know, residual energy is energy that has no intellect. They're not aware that they exist. They're not aware that you exist. The activity just is recycled. If you've ever been or watched it on YouTube, what I keep forgetting it, the battlefield, the really famous battlefield that a lot of people go to. There's a video. It looks like ghosts walking back and forth and around and around and around, and that would be Gettysburg. Thank you, Gettysburg. A lot of people have seen that. EVPs. There have been many EVPs captured. There have been people who have heard whispers, cries for help. Thank you there. And even conversations. Now, some people have experienced touching. So a lot of people claim to have experienced unexplained touches and physical sensations while visiting Waverly Hills. Some have reported feeling cold spots, which I have. There was one person that said her hair was pulled. Slamming doors and footsteps. And I'm going to tell you a story about this. Slamming doors and footsteps. Visitors have often heard the sound of slamming doors shut on their own and footsteps coming from empty hallways. And the phenomena are often attributed to the spirits of former patients or staff. Well, let me tell you this story. Listen to this. Thank you, Deb. This is a creepy story. And I believe it's on the 3rd floor. But Keith Age, who is the founder of the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society, he used to be there. He used to volunteer there all the time and do tours. Well, I'm a very good friend with Keith. He's in Louisville, and this is what he told. This is crazy. So he was there. It was very late at night, and there were two young men who decided to trespass. Don't do that, folks. They'll call the cops on you. So they decided to go up there. I don't think Keith was there at that point. I'm not for sure, but they went out to the 3rd floor. Now, these doors, so you go up the hallway, and not the hallway, but the stairway, and then on each floor, there's a door, a big metal door that you open it, and you can go right in, and that's the big, obviously the hallway. So they went up to the 3rd floor. They opened the door. They went inside the hallway. This was late at night. And they were scared. Something scared them a lot. I mean, really freaked them out. They went to the same door that they opened freely, and they couldn't open it. They could not open it. And they were freaking out. And they were banging on the door. And these are big, heavy metal doors. They were banging on the doors and banging on it, and they could not open it. They were stuck. And one of the guys actually had a little hatchet with him. And I assume they did a hatchet because it's a very woodsy area. So when you probably went up to the to the area, they probably cut down some tree limbs to get there. Well, he actually was hatching, hitting the door. And he literally, he kept pounding the axe into the door to try to get out because they couldn't get out. But it was not opening up. And so they were screaming. And apparently, one of the security came up and walked to the 3rd floor, opened the door. The door opened, no issues. He found them. They were sitting down and just kind of huddled. And they kept saying it wouldn't let us leave. It wouldn't let us leave. And to this day, to this very day, if you go to Waverly Hills on the 3rd floor, you can actually see the axe marks where they were trying to chop down that door to try to escape. That is crazy. That I'm telling you, that, man. There's also, of course, we talked about the death tunnel. For those of you who don't know, the death tunnel was also known as the body chute. It is a 500-foot long underground tunnel. So I used to play football. 100 yards is the length of a football field. Now, these are 500 foot long. So these are 5 football fields. That's how long the tunnel hill is, the death tunnel is. So when you understand that, that gives you a perspective of how long it is. It's an underground tunnel. Again, it was used to transport the deceased patients and also for supplies. There's people who said that they see a shadow man. That's what they call him, the shadow man. A lot of staff members have reported seeing a shadowy figure known as the shadow man wandering the halls of Waverly Hills. Thank you, Shannon. The apparition is described as a tall, dark figure. Thank you, Roxy. That appears and disappears without trace. Here's another one. The nurse who decided that she wanted to, she couldn't deal with some issues, so she decided to, she jumped off the building. Her name was Mary Hellenberg, and she was a nurse, and she worked at Waverly Hills in the early 1900s. Well, here's what happened. It was believed that she became pregnant out of wedlock. Because remember, they lived there. A lot of people, it was a town of its own, so they actually lived on the grounds. And she was so distraught over this social stigma because of, she wasn't married. She got pregnant, that she ended the life in 502. And her spirit is believed to linger in that room. A lot of people say that. There's also a room. Thank you, Cassie. There's also room 311. So if you ever go, 311 is said to be one of the most haunted rooms in Waverly Hills. It is believed that a patient decided to take matters in his own hands and couldn't deal with it anymore. And he jumped out of the window in the room. And visitors have reported seeing apparitions, hearing whispers, and feeling a heavy sense of sadness when entering the room. I have experienced a room 311. Here's what, and I can't explain this one. But we were doing a live investigation on a show with the current friend of mine at the time. And they were doing a show. They were live on the air. And so myself and other people were there. We were walking down the hallway by room 311. And everybody who was listening to the show said, "What was that loud noise?" And even the host said, "Hey, James," it was Connie Willis. Connie Willis says she sometimes hosts for a Coast to Coast AM. And when I knew her back then, she asked me to do her on a show. I said, "Of course." So she said, "James, what was that noise? Everybody's asking, what was that loud bang?" I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Oh, there was no loud bang. About 10 seconds later, we heard that loud bang. And it sounded like they had for the heat, they had one of those great the metal radiator things. You know what I mean? It sounded like one of the radiators had actually fallen and just landed and hit the floor, and the echoes everywhere. I mean, it was massive. But what I don't understand, even to this day, I don't understand how they were able to hear that 10 seconds before we were able to. That doesn't make sense. Because many times when you're airing a show, there's a 10 or 15 second delay. We should have heard that first. And then we should have said, "Did you hear that?" And then they wouldn't have heard it. And then maybe 5 seconds later or so, they would say, "Yeah, we heard it." It was just the opposite. The audience heard it before we did. I can't explain that. Oh, wow. Diana says, my dad was an orphan and sent there to live for 2 years. He worked in the bakery and also served the food for patients. Thank you there, Exploration. He said he was 13 to 15 years old. He used to watch the doctors do experiments on the patients and also watch the bodies go down the body chute. Wow. He had an aunt that was a patient there in the 50s. There's a lot of people there. There's also a little boy allegedly called Timmy. Now, Timmy is the ghost of a young boy who is said to haunt Waverly Hills. It's believed that he was a patient at the sanatorium and he passed away there. Visitors have reported hearing the sound of a bouncing ball, laughter, and childish giggles, thought to be Timmy playing in the hallways. When I was there, what they do is they have a ball there and they make sure that the ball is not anywhere where there's a draft. We were there. I saw this thing and the ball moved, clearly moved. But people say, well, Bishop, it kind of, it could have been a draft. And that's a fair statement. But the ball moved, not to the point like it was like a wind. It was like someone kicked it. There was force behind that movement. I saw it with my own eyes. I can't explain it. Can't explain it. There's also known as the creeper. The creeper. It's the spirit is known as the creeper because of its unusual way of moving. Now, I have seen what people define as the creeper. It's described as a mist-like figure that creeps along the walls and the floors. When I was there, when we did an investigation, I was there when it was only a couple of us, when we did the show live, when we were doing the show, and it was just only a few of us. And we had the entire hospital to ourselves. And we saw this thing. We absolutely saw this mist. And you could see it. I mean, it would go here and down and up. We saw this. Now, there are some people that say, okay, all this stuff is just nonsense. It doesn't happen. It's just nope. Okay. If you go, here is some suggestion that I have for you. Or even if you investigate, evaluate the evidence. You have to start by examining the evidence and consider the claims that people make. Look for inconsistencies, logical fallacies. So try to debunk the activity. That's what I always try to do when I see, videos here on TikTok. You also need to conduct a thorough research. There's a lot of people who like to say, well, I don't believe that, and that doesn't exist. But they've never been there. Well, if you've never been there, then you're just giving an opinion based on what? I've been to the location. I've seen it. I know what's there. So I can tell you from my own experiences. If you plan to conduct an investigation at Waverly Hills or anywhere, then utilize tools like a thermal camera or electromagnetic field, an EMF detector. Audio recorders are the best. The best. I think one of the best recorders that I have, I don't have the other one with me. One of the best recorders. I love this. This is the Zoom. I'm sure there's a different model now, but this is fantastic. It captures amazing EVPs. EVPs are, again, electronic voice phenomena. Analyze the data objectively. So don't immediately, thank you there, Exploration. Don't immediately say, well, it's all demons, analyze it. And which obviously you should. Excuse me, but I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here in a minute. And so you can see. So let me share a couple of them. So let me open this up. And yeah, if you've never been to Waverly Hills, I encourage you to. It's just one of those places. By the way, it was reopened. It closed in 1961. It was reopened in 1962 as Woodhaven Geriatric Sanatorium. And as I told you, they did some pretty terrible things. What happened is the owner at Waverly Hills, before the current owners, wanted to tear it down. He wanted to build a great big statue of Jesus there. And that's what he wanted to do. So what he did is he actually dug a 30-foot deep trench around the foundation of the building because he wanted it to collapse. That's what he wanted to do because it would cost more money to actually have a machine coming up there. So he just dug this huge 30-foot trench and thinking that it was going to collapse on itself. It didn't. It did not collapse. That's how sturdy that building is. So in 2001, after vagrants and vandalism, and there were satanic rituals, graffiti, ravages of time and the elements, it was sold to the current owner, which is the Mattingleys. Now, I can tell you that I went there when I was a teenager. And when I went there, it was the owner at that time was the same guy who wanted to destroy it. He wanted, and he didn't care. Anybody could go up there and do whatever they wanted to, and they did. And it was a shame because they really, really did they did terrible stuff to the building. But he didn't care because he was going to. He wanted to destroy it. So I went there, and I'll tell you the story. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you my personal story. For those of you who haven't been here before, indulge me if you've heard it before. But there's a lot of people who are listening for the first time. Here is Waverly Hills. Excuse me, my allergies are terrible. Let me show you a story, not a story, a picture. Okay, share screen. That's what I want to do. So this is Waverly Hills. For those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, that is Waverly Hills. For those of you who are on TikTok, there you go. That's Waverly. This is the area actually that I went into. I'll go ahead and tell you the story now. This is the area that I went into when I was a teenager. And this is actually the same area where the Ghost Adventures and most of the people go to. You can see this little area here, right here. Well, that was the entrance. That's the entrance there. And when I went there, we couldn't get in because it was locked. The doors were locked. However, there were windows that you see off to the left. And me and my friend at that time, we decided to go up there. Why not? We were dumb teenage kids. We decided, let's go. So we went up to that location. When we went up there, it was the space was wide open. I remember that. There was a wheelchair that was on its side, a real old rusty wheelchair. And there were file cabinets everywhere, lots of file cabinets. And there were patient information. I mean, there were papers scattered everywhere. Gurneys. It just like was just left. It was just abandoned. And what was surprising is all these patients' information was all over the ground. But then we started hearing a little cry. And it was like a whimper. And I couldn't quite, because we kept looking around because we thought, well, where's that coming from? And it got louder and louder. So we thought, well, originally we thought it sounded like a child. And we thought that perhaps maybe a little kid went up there and just kind of got lost and couldn't find their way back out. So we decided to go up the stairs. And we went to the second floor at that time. And we couldn't hear it. It was like, no, it's not coming from there. So then we went to the third floor. Now, the third floor, remember, that's the same floor where those boys had gotten in there and they couldn't escape. And they tried to tear down the wall or the door, but trying to axe it down. We got up there and the crying got louder and louder. And I remember us opening the door and we went to the right and we went down this hallway and it echoes. And we kept walking and walking, and it got louder. The crying got louder and louder. And it was clearly a child. It sounded like a child. And then finally, we went around the corner, and there was a bathroom. And I thought, okay, obviously the kid's in the bathroom, and they're scared. So, are you okay? What's your name? Who are you? Do you need help? That basic stuff. So I walked into the bathroom. And there was, I think, 3 stalls. I think it was 3 or 4 stalls, but I think it was 3 stalls, and they were these metal stalls, for the commodes, the really heavy duty metal ones. And I opened the first one, and there was nothing there. I opened the second one, nothing there. I went to the third one. I pushed it; it was locked, and it was like the Incredible Hulk was inside that stall, and it sounded like a sledgehammer had just been taken to one of those to the inside of that stall, and the entire bathroom, I mean, it shook violently. It was the loudest noise I have. It was unbelievable. Needless to say, we were like, no, 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 no. So we ran. I mean, we ran so fast down those 3 flights of stairs. I say this all the time. I don't think I hit any of those stairs. I think I missed every one of them. But we got down to the bottom of the stairs, and that old rusted wheelchair that was on the side, the wheel was spinning. Now, this was an old rusted wheelchair. It wasn't spinning at all. But when we got down there, that sucker was spinning just spinning like someone had just put tons of grease on it and just, well, we was like, nope, that's it. Nope, 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 nope. So we took off. Needless to say, we were like, no, that's not going to happen. And we ran, and understandably so. So yeah, and it's crazy out there. Nicole, I appreciate that, but this is like the 10th time you wrote that. So do me a favor. Let's kind of stop doing that because it's kind of spamming. So let's not do that anymore. Okay. But I appreciate that, Nicole. I appreciate that. Okay. So yeah, we took off. I mean, we were out of there. We were gone. It was a crazy place. So that's the picture of Waverly Hills. Now I want you to see this. Listen to this. I've performed 30 exorcisms. Here's a picture that Louisville Ghost Hunter Society they caught. Let me share a screen so you guys can see it on. There we go. Now, I'm going to share this with you guys so you guys can see it. So this is the courtyard in the back. Well, oh, come on. Hold on. It's kind of hard to do this because I can't share anything. I wish TikTok would allow us because then you guys can see it, but I'm doing the best I can. Okay. This is a courtyard in the back. So for those of you on Clapper, there you go. So you guys can see that. A regular picture. I mean, just a simple courtyard. No big deal, right? However, there's something there. And I'm going to share this with you in just a second. So let me share this story. Let me share this screen with everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and KGREDB. There you go. Now, what you're going to see on this next picture is you're going to see it circled. Something is circled in red. You see that? You have to look carefully. See, it's circled in red. There you go, Clapper. Now, don't worry, because you don't have to expand it because I'm going to do it for you. Now, this, my friends, this is crazy. Let me share it on. That's what you're going to see here is the actual picture that was circled. That is insane. Do you see that? I'll show the Clapper. Let me expand it a little bit. I can't really expand it any bigger. That is 100% a little boy. You can see the outline. I can absolutely, looks like he has his hands in his pocket. 100%. I don't see it. No, I don't see anything with horns. I see it's kind of hard for you guys to see it on. I know it's hard to see it on TikTok, but I'll share it with Clapper real quick. That is the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society caught that. A lot of people say that that's Timmy. And again, I know this is terrible that I have to do it this way, but unfortunately, TikTok won't allow me to connect to Spreaker. But you can clearly see this 100% on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and KGREDB. But I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. But that is, and I can't expand it anymore. But I'll show it up. Yeah. Here, one more time. Yeah, there's no doubt. I'll try to do put this on maybe on a duet or something, so you guys can see it better. And but yeah, I mean, you can see it. I mean, it's clear as day. So that's a lot of people think that was Timmy. That a lot of people see. This also happened. I have seen them. I have seen these a lot. These appear out of nowhere, and they're footprints. They just appear out of nowhere. I absolutely 1,000,000% have seen these things when I when I did an investigation. Take a look at this. They just appear. And you can see them, and there's no water, there's no dripping where it happens. There's no change in weather, because people say, well, the humidity might have changed. No, I literally was in a location where I've seen things just like this, and there was no change in the weather pattern. Oh, thank you very much, Kimberly. There was no change in the weather pattern. It just happened. Curious how much that ring on your finger? Sure, sure, no problem. This is actually Etsy, and you can buy it for $65. Okay. Here's one here. Yeah, condensation. That's the problem with condensation. You'd have changing in the weather pattern, and there wasn't. This is what happens. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, you can buy them at Etsy, $65. Here's a picture here. This is how they just appear, just like that. Well, there, and that's how they do. That's a fair question. Because a lot of people see a ring like that and they think, oh my gosh, that must be millions of dollars. No, $65. And I bought it. I bought it from Turkey. Just when I saw it, it's an amethyst. It's a beautiful ring. So $65. Okay. Now take a look at this. Thank you very much. Take a look at this picture that I'm going to show you. This picture, guys, it is creepy. There are two. So let me explain it first. There are two people. There are two women, and they were there just doing an overnight. Now, where they are right by the wall, and then right behind them is a massive drop off. So there's no cliff. There's no one could be behind them. It's impossible because there's just a massive thank you there, Punky. There's like a 4-story drop off. Take a look. Okay, so here's the picture. There you go. Okay, so nothing. I mean, don't worry, I'll blow it up. But if you see, and this was a legitimate picture that this was absolutely caught. Oh no, you don't have to blow it up. I'll do it for you. So let me go here and window and share it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Take a look at this, everybody. This is what is behind them. I know there's a little glare there for Clapper. I mean, this is so hard to do, man. Come on, TikTok. Let Spreaker connect to us. It's bulky and look at that. Yeah, Elvis pictures. But yeah, you see that. Isn't that crazy? Trying to find it again. So here's a blown up just a little bit better. And now a lot of people, there are people who think that she could have been an individual. She could have been the nurse that a lot of people talk about. Well, thank you there, Jerry. Thank you. So it's crazy. There's something clearly there. Well, thank you. All right. Thank you there, LabCat. LabCat, subscribe. Thank you. So something was there. The screenshot, the zoomed in photo where you can see what? Well, let me do if I can do it this way. Hold on. Maybe this it's easier to do it this way here on the phone. So it's like this. See that? I got these stupid ring things, but do you see? Isn't that crazy? I'm not disappearing. I'm right here. Yeah. So that you can see. I mean, clearly there's something there. So that's a lot of, there are people who think that she was the nurse. It's hard to say but the hair, it's because it's so difficult to see that, but there's something there. There's something there. And but that's Waverly Hills. Okay. So if you have any questions, I promise that I'll open it up at 8 o'clock. Well, thank you very much for those, Kimberly. She was a nurse, Tammy. She was a nurse. A lot of people believe she was a nurse at Waverly Hills. When thank you there, Explosion. When Waverly Hills, for USOCC, when Waverly Hills was a tuberculosis clinic, and when it closed in 1961 from being the actual clinic, it started in 1910, built in 1910. And so I thank you there, Shauna. Well, we don't know. See, we don't even know if it is the nurse. We have no idea. We just know that that's an apparition. We know that those two women that were there, they were at Waverly Hills, and I believe it was in the chapel where they were, because right behind them is I think a 2-story drop off. So there's no one could have been behind them, and they took the picture. And there she is. So we simply don't know who she is or what she is. Robin, that's a good question. So Robin is asking, are you afraid of bringing something home with you? When I get involved with a case, it's demonic in nature. So I realize the consequences of being involved in this ministry. And I also recognize the dangers, and I accept those dangers. But my faith in God is strong, and so I don't allow doubt or anything like that to creep in, or fear. So when I go to a case, and let me explain how this happens. So someone contacts me and says, "Okay, Bishop Long, I need your help. I can't do it right now." They say, "I need your help. Can you please help us out? I have a demonic issue in my home, and we need you to get here as quickly as you can." Well, I can't say yes to every single case. I just can't, because I don't charge and I don't get paid as clergy. So I have to find a way to get to those people's homes. So I have to pay for it. And I play the lottery, but I haven't won yet. So, I can do what I can do. I can do the best I can. But what we do is we have teams that go out and they investigate the claims. And then based on the investigation, we will determine whether or not I need to find a way to get there. And so by the time I get involved with the case, we've already the case has been validated. We know that there's something there. We know that it's evil. We have a lot of evidence that clearly shows there is something evil that's present. And then I try to find a way to get there. So that's how I operate. Otherwise, I'd be chasing every single case, and I can't do it because I've talked about this a million times before. I have 12,175 emails, and that's in this is actually 5 days. I mean, I have 14,000 messages on TikTok, and people asking me to help them, and then they get angry and they want to know why I can't answer every single email. I don't do TikTok. I do other ministry. I've got responsibilities to the seminarians, to the Benedictines. I've got to the hospital chaplaincy. So, well, thank you very much, Carrie. Is it Carrie? Thank you very much. So anyway, that's the problem. But by the time I get involved, I know what's going on. And so that's how. Well, thank you very much there, Dana. I appreciate that very, very, very kindly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, she could be that former. I don't know. It's we don't know. It's an eerie picture. I tell you that. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Well, yeah, because she wasn't there. And again, that's like I said, that picture there that you see, she wasn't in there. She didn't, and the people said that they didn't know her. And like I said, she couldn't have been behind them because there's a 2-story drop off. So, well, thank you very much, Susan. I appreciate that. Well, thank you there, AJ. Okay, where did you get that? Was actually Sharon. That was taken from the Louisville Paranormal. They're a community here. I know I'm butchering the Louisville Paranormal. I need to find out. I need it because my brain just said goodbye. Louisville Ghost Hunter Society. There we go. So the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society. So, the doll. This was actually the same doll that was on the show that I'm a cast member on with Rich and some other folks called Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcists. And this doll here was on one of the episodes. I will not take it out of its case. Won't happen. So for those of you who don't know the story of this, a family had purchased this, and because the mom loved collecting oddities, and she became obsessed with this doll. I mean, it was like an obsession. So thank you, Diana. It was an obsession, and she couldn't stop thinking about it, and so she brought it home, and then activity became very violent. And the entire house completely, this was a 3-story big, beautiful home, and it completely burned down. There was nothing left. Nothing left. And the only thing, well, thank you there, Exploration. So when I went to the home, she showed me where the foyer was, where the main entrance is, and then you had to turn right to the formal living room, and there was this ornate bookcase there. It was metal, and that was still standing, but badly burnt. And then this doll, and she was sitting right there on the shelf, just sitting. And there's burnt marks on the doll itself, but you can't really see it because it's kind of dark. But there are burnt marks on it, and it's porcelain. And what I can't understand is because it's porcelain, and it was not. And this thing, I mean, it just, I don't want to do it too far. And it didn't catch fire or anything. I mean, I don't know. So I took this to the Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference in Louisville, Kentucky. And I had been saving forever for a laptop because I needed to update my laptop because I do presentations in paranormal conferences. And I took it out of its case because people kept saying, Bishop Long, take it out of its case, take it out. And normally I would never do that, but they kept begging me. So I said, fine. Because they wanted to experience what it was like out of its case. So I took it out of its case, and everybody kept saying, please put it back. Please put it back in its case. Well, I got distracted. I turned around, and I was getting ready to put it back in its case. The case is blessed. And someone asked me a question. And I put the doll right next to the laptop. I turned around to address the question, and a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter in the front row screamed, Bishop Long, your laptop's on fire. I turned around, and the entire room of people witnessed this at Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference. The laptop caught fire. And I mean, I had used that laptop before. It never overheated. As a matter of fact, I even had one of those little things you put underneath it, and it kind of cool, keeps it cool, but it never ever. I've used that laptop plenty of times. Never, ever had an issue. But it caught fire, and I was so mad at myself because I got distracted and I didn't put it back in its case, and that was crazy. That was insane. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. But yeah, it was. So I collect, I remove these items from people's homes. So they buy them, and then violent activity occurs, and then they want to know why it occurs. Well, you probably had something that had the demonic attached to it. And so they buy these things, they bring it home, all hell breaks loose in their home, and then they ask me to come to their home and help. And so I tell you, you got to remove it. You got to remove the item. So I have actually a storage facility full of items that are the stories are crazy. I will not bring it out. I will not take it out. It won't happen. Won't happen. I can show it to you, but I'm not taking it out of its case. That won't happen. So for Clapper, there it is, Clapper. So I'll show you guys in a minute. There you can see the burnt marks on the, there's a reflection on the actual thing itself, and you can actually still smell. There's some here, but you can't see it because of the glare. There's some here on the bottom there, and you can see the burnt marks there on the top. So let me show everybody there. So yeah, that's yeah, but there's a 0% chance that I'll take it out of its case. That's not going to happen. Nope. Never. Nope. I've never seen it move on its own. I've never seen it move. But when because I've always heard of haunted items, and I've always been skeptical of them, and I still am. But I can't dismiss that. It happened. I mean, my laptop caught fire as soon as I put it right next to it. That laptop was on fire, and yeah, it's a special glass with it, and there's blessed, so it's not ever going to be taken out of its. I allowed the producers to take it and to show it and to film it for the show Legion of Exorcists. So if you want to know it's a Legion of Exorcists. Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists. They had 6 episodes, and you can watch it. It's streaming now. We don't. Someone's asked. We don't know about season 2. We've not heard anything about season 2, and that's primarily because I would imagine because of the writer's strike. But it did very well in the ratings, so we'll see. Okay. The Hat Man, Suzanne there's a lot of people asking about the Hat Man. A lot of people see this. Have any of you seen this? Anybody? The Hat Man. There's a lot of people who are seeing this. Anybody? You've seen him. Is it Carrie? Is it Carrie? Yeah, Carrie saying. It's Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists. So I'm one of the cast members there, and we don't, like I said, we don't know if there's a season 2 yet. Oh, you don't know? Okay. Some people say Top Man. Okay, for those, there's a lot of people asking, what is the Hat Man? Okay, in the paranormal community, the Hat Man or Top Man with the top hat, it's a term that's often used to describe like a shadowy figure. It's commonly reported in paranormal and supernatural experiences. A lot of people are seeing this thing. He is described as being a tall, shadowy entity wearing a hat. Typically, it's a top hat, if you will. And sometimes a lot of people say that they're seeing him with red glowing eyes. Now, many people claim to have encountered this Hat Man during sleep paralysis. It's a phenomenon where individuals wake up but are temporarily they're unable to move or speak. And they're often described as terrifying experiences. Individuals report seeing this Hat Man standing in their room or at the foot of their bed. And some people also claim to encounter him in waking moments, just like now, often during the times of heightened stress or even trauma. Now, okay, but we have to be, the Hat Man is often associated with feelings of fear, unease, leading many to believe it's a malevolent entity, demonic. However, there is no scientific evidence right now to absolutely conclude that this thing exists. I have not seen anything yet that I can say, okay, there's something there. Now, I've seen a lot of pictures, allegedly, of this Hat Man, but I'm skeptical of the pictures that I've seen. But there's many people who've said that they've seen him. Oh, Hetty says, I see him in a trench coat and a fedora. Wow. Is it Corey or Carrie? Not my stupid eyes out, sir. Corey. Corey says, no, I think he's evil. He may have a choice like us. Okay. Yeah, and people ask me all the time. They ask me, why do I have these items? Well, very simple. Because I'm clergy, and my job as an exorcist is to remove these items from people's homes and to bless them and to tell them to stop collecting them. Stop collecting these items. What I do, I'm going to be going to a paranormal conference in Arkansas in October, and I'll be bringing several items with me, and I'll be talking about those items, and you'll be able to see them. And it's my job to teach, hey, this is what happened. And so these things are very, very, it's a bad idea to collect them. But people do. And then AJ, that can be dangerous. AJ says, I collect haunted dolls. AJ says, I'm obsessed. You see, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. When will I come to Las Vegas? I would love to go to Las Vegas, but no paranormal conference in Las Vegas has invited me. So we'll have to. Hopefully you put it on YouTube. Wish to watch. Actually, on YouTube, I am going to be doing a series. Now that the weather has changed, has gotten a lot cooler. I am going to be doing a series on the Gates of Hell Cemetery. Now, people, I've said this before. People ask me all the time, is there one location that really, really is a place where you don't like? Yep. And that is the Gates of Hell Cemetery in Kentucky. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is one place that I don't like. I don't like being there at night. I just don't like being. Thank you, there, Kimberly. I don't like being there. So I'm putting everything together, because when you do a series, you have to figure out how the script. What are you going to say? What are you going to talk? There's a lot to it. So I'm putting the storyboard together. It is a place that, I tell you what, it is crazy location. In 2003, for those of you who don't know, in 2003, I'm the one that named it the Gates of Hell Cemetery, because we know that, because no one, I've said this before, no one in the paranormal community even knew that it existed. It's a small abandoned cemetery in Kentucky. No one even knew, because I was there over 2003. And my team went there because families asked us to go there to bless it, because a lot of satanic rituals were being performed there. And so we went to that location, and all hell broke loose. I mean, that place, all hell broke loose there. And on the next day, when I was on radio, I said, man, this is like the Gates of Hell. And they're like, that's it. That's how it got its name. And I've talked about the Gates of Hell on the National Geographic, on History Channel, on Ghost Adventures. That place is a bad location. That is the one location that I saw that creature that I still don't know what it is. And I've talked about this. I don't know what it is. Some people say it was the Mothman. Perhaps, I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. But I know that I and 3 other people who were there, we all saw it. No, it's not on YouTube yet, because I haven't made it yet. I'm in the process now of creating it. So I do have a podcast page. You can go to my bishopjameslong.com website. Scroll down to where it says Spreaker. If you click on Spreaker, it will take you. You'll be able to see all of my podcasts. So I have podcasts here and Night Prayer and all the shows. Yeah, it's crazy. It is one of those. It's one of those locations I tell people stay away from. It is really, really a bad location. What did I see? Well, we were there. And again, for those of you who've heard this before, please just indulge me for a moment, because a lot of people are new and they don't know. Well, this place, it's an old abandoned cemetery. When you pull up, it's like a tomb, I guess maybe a couple mile windy road, and it's a one lane kind of road. And when you get off the main road and you get there, you can feel the heaviness. I mean, it is intense. And when you pull up, it dead ends there in the cemetery. Now, there's one way in, there's one way out. It's an old dirty path, basically path, and there's a fence around it, like a horseshoe fence, and there's trees all around this place. In the very back, they call it the witch's tree, but it's just an old dead tree where, unfortunately, a lot of people have performed satanic rituals there, and it's unfortunate, but they did. So me and my three of my friends were there. Bishop David Price was with me and two other people, and we were in the back. And it was around midnight or so, and it was in the middle of summer, and the crickets were making its noise. And then the top of the trees began to sway back and forth. But we felt no wind where we were, nothing. And at that moment, when the wind was starting to blow, the crickets stopped. Everything was dead silent. And the only thing we heard were the trees, the top of the trees going back and forth. But then there's a lot of trees outside of the fence. And we started seeing shadow people. And originally, I thought maybe it was the locals just trying to scare us. That's where my thought goes. But then there was too many. There were way too many. And we didn't hear a lot of rustling like they were, like the feet were. We didn't hear that. It was just, we kept seeing these shadow people going back, and it looked like we were back here, and it looked like they were cutting us off, coming to the front. So we said, no, we're not here to do the minor rite of exorcism. If something doesn't want us here, it's time to go. So we decided to go, and thank you there, AJ. And we got to the entrance. Now our back was towards the cemetery, and I'll show this on film. There's a tree right in the front, and this was a full moon at that night. Big, beautiful full moon right behind that tree. Well, our backs were turned towards it, and we heard a rattling noise. And we looked at our friend, and our friend actually had a flashlight. And this was an older flash, and you could hear the batteries rattling inside the flashlight because he was shaking. And we thought, what in the world is going on? So we turned around. Now, I don't know what I saw. I can't define it. But we all saw it. You can talk to David Price. Bishop David Price will tell you the same thing. He had this. The light was right on this sucker. To me, it looked like a huge 10-foot bat. It was the wings were spread out from limb to limb, and I'll show this when I do my video. To limb to limb, it was so clear we could see his claws. I mean, we could see it. It was right there, and the eyes were a red, but it was like a very bright fluorescent red, looking right at us. It had a long torso. It was so defined we could actually see the torso, and it was looking right at us. It didn't say anything. It didn't make any noise. But we knew that if we had stepped one inch closer, that was it. We knew 1,000,000% that that was it, that we were done for. That was terrifying because I can't define what I saw. When I have a possession, when I'm working a possession, I can define it. And I know the parlor tricks, but I don't know this thing. And we said, no, that's it. We're done. We're out of here. So that shook us. And that was the night, by the way, that was the night when I went home. And at that time I had Kylie. She was a 10-pound toy schnauzer. So I took her outside so she could do her business. And my mind was on that creature. What in the world was that? So while she was doing her business, now right across the street from my house, there is an open field. And there's a fence that someone owns and some bushes. Kylie was doing her business, and I've heard growls before, but this growl, I've never heard a growl like this. It was deep, it was loud, and it came from a very, very big source. Some animal, some creature, I don't know what it was. People say it was a bear. No. Think big time, much bigger than a bear. It was a cat. No, it was a bigger. No, this was a growl. And when I tell you, I was across, the growl was about 15, 20 feet away from me or so. And I've said this before. It was like someone put a bass, a speaker behind and turned the bass up as loud as it could. And I could feel the growl, the chambers in my chest. I could feel it. That is how deep that growl was. And I said, nope, Kylie, let's go. We're done. Yeah, you're finished. You're finished. To this day, I don't know what that was. I don't know. I can't define it. It bothers me. It bothers me because I can't define that thing. But here's what I do know. Here's what I do know. Thank you, AJ. That place at night is a totally different place than in the day. If you know anything about Silent Hill, you know, the movie Silent Hill, during the day it's one place, but during the night the monsters come out. And I'm telling you, that is one location where at night it's a different world. I just simply will not go there at night. I just won't. Because it's one place that if you go there, you have to be prepared. And and I tell people, stay away from it. Don't go there. If you go there, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of Native Americans buried there. I don't think so. I don't think it's an abandoned cemetery. Unfortunately, a lot of people. Thank you there, Kimberly. A lot of people have gone there and destroyed the tombstones too. And like I said, when I do this filming, I'll show you all of it. You'll see everything. I'll show you. I'll even show the skull. That I'll have that. I took that home. I took that away from the location. And I'll talk about that. But if someone purchased this skull thing, and they used it, and then unfortunately some animals were sacrificed, and it was their altar. And needless to say, I tore that altar down. So, but I will be there at night. I will not be there at night. So no. I don't have a problem. During the day, I'm not going to be there at night. I won't do that. It's just not a good place. Yeah. So, but during the day, it still feels uncomfortable. I don't have a problem. I'll film. I'll have someone with me, but I'm not going there at night. No, I won't. I agree. Deb, I agree with that. Deb says, I hate when cemeteries are desecrated. Isn't that the truth? Well, Lady Warrior's asking, do we have Mothman myth there? Well, there's a lot of people in Kentucky who said that they've seen it. And a lot of people say it was Mothman. I don't know. But I do know. It bothers me because I don't know what it was. And I wish I could define it. I can't. Oh, yes, skinwalkers. What's wrong? What do you mean you didn't want to say the names? The scary place that I went to cleanse would be Gates of Hell Cemetery. When I was asked by a family to go there. There's no question about it. Skinwalkers. For those of you who don't know, skinwalkers are a part of Native American folk belief. It's particularly the Navajo legend. And I had Willie Windwalker Gibson on not too long ago. He talked about skinwalkers. They're believed to be humans with the ability to shape shift into animals. Now, according to some legends, and even Willie, skinwalkers can take on the form of a variety of animals, including coyotes, wolves, bears, owls. It is said that they gain their powers through dark rituals. They're often associated sometimes with witchcraft and other supernatural abilities. That's what some people say. Don't kill the messenger. Skinwalkers are believed to be primarily malevolent. That means evil, and are said to use their powers to harm, to bring misfortune. So again, that's the legend of a skinwalker. But maybe I'll have Willie Windwalker on again, and yeah, I am going to do a presentation on vampires again because I've been doing some research on that, and I have them blessed, and they're each sealed as far as making sure that everything is safe. I take extra precautions ever since this thing caused my laptop to catch fire. I make sure that everything is secure. Oh, the Illuminati, yeah. Yeah, one day we'll have to talk about the Illuminati. Maybe we'll do that. Um, but who knows? But I will be talking about. I did do the Greys, the aliens. I did an alien presentation not too long ago. But I am going to. I would like to. I would like to actually speak to someone who claims to be a legitimate vampire. Now I know there's going to be a lot of people, but that's I've been wanting to do that since I've talked to plenty of people who say that they are a psi or energy vampire. But who's sirens? Yeah, you know what? That's maybe we'll have to do a presentation on that. We have to be careful. But again, when I do a presentation, it's just I know I've searched some TikTok, and but a lot of people, sometimes maybe watch a little too much Twilight. but there are some. Okay. Yeah, I've talked to Father Sebastian several times. Sirens. So you want to know what sirens are? Sirens, actually, Sirens. They're from Greek mythology. They were said to have the ability to enchant sailors with their beautiful singing voices, luring them basically to their doom. And they were depicted as half bird, half women creatures. And while sirens are considered mythological beings, to be fair, some paranormal enthusiasts believe the existence of the modern day sirens and are similar entities. So we might do a presentation on that maybe one day. Someone called you a siren? Oh yeah, Blake. I've seen shadow people during an exorcism. I've seen shadow people during blessings of homes. I've seen shadow people. People ask me about them. I've seen shadow people that I felt very threatened by, and then I've seen shadow people that I was not threatened by at all. So it's interesting because it's a different. A lot of people want to say they're always evil, and I don't know. I haven't found that to be true. So. Oh, you're the Shadow King. Well, okay. Hello there, Shadow King. What's a Shadow King then? Bobby Mackey's. I don't really go back to Bobby Mackey. People ask me if I would go back to Bobby Mackey's. There really is no reason for me to, unless someone said, "Look, we really need you to." Well, thank you very much. Thank you, AJ. Thank you. Unless someone said, "Look, we really need you to go there." There really is no reason, because here's the problem. When I went there with the Ghost Adventures, I performed the minor rite of exorcism. But no sooner than I performed the minor rite of exorcism, then weeks later, people were going there and doing stupid things that they shouldn't have done and given the invitation again. And now activities picked up again. So it's kind of like a revolving door, So look, well, the people are asking, do I ever get scared when I do exorcisms? I don't get scared for myself. I get scared for the person who's possessed. Because remember, the person is gone through severe trauma. Possession is very taxing on the body. And there's a lot of stress that takes place that leads to possession. And the body can only sustain so much trauma. So my fear during an exorcism is not the demonic. My fear is the body giving out. And so that I always have someone who is there who's medically trained, because I don't know if the person is going into a heart attack or stroke. And that can absolutely happen. So for my biggest concern is, can the individual, from a medical perspective, and this is what I asked the person who's trained, can they sustain, are they strong enough to be able to fight through? Thank you, exploration. Thank you. So are they able to fight through it? Can they do that? Does the body is the body capable of that? Because you don't want to perform an exorcism on someone, because then you get in some big trouble unless, look, there's no other resort, and that's when you get some trouble, because the body can only take so much trauma. And so people who go around playing exorcist, you better have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, because if you don't, you could kill somebody, and then you're on manslaughter charges. So this is quite serious. Yeah. Okay. Is knocking a ghost spirit? Well, thank you for the exploration. Thank you very much. I appreciate the exploration, all you've done, and all of you. Thank you for the gifts. A knocking can be a form of a human spirit, but it can also be a demonic. Now, many years ago, when I was on Ghost Adventures, and I told he kept hearing a banging of three, and I said, well, that's a mocking of the Trinity. And I wish I wouldn't have said that, because the moment that I said that, because he had scratches on his back, and I said, well, that's a mocking of the Trinity. Then everybody contacts me and says, well, I have 3 scratches. Is it the demon? It's a demon. I'm like, oh no, my goodness gracious. And then it was kind of like, but that was an honest answer. Just because someone has a scratch on your body, that doesn't mean it's demonic. So there's a term called dermatographia, the big $20 football word. And dermatographic, it appears, scratches can appear on a person's body, but it's logical. You can explain that. So just because you have 3 scratches on your body does not mean then you have a demon that's attacking you. Because my question for you is going to be, well, if you have 3 scratches on your body, you're going to have demonic infestation. Thank you there, Giggles. You're going to have other issues in your home. Well, I don't have any other issues in my home. Then it's not demonic. Well, how can you say that? Well, very simple. Because first step is demonic infestation. The next step is oppression. You cannot have oppression without infestation. So if you are demonically oppressed and the demonic you have an attachment and you are in your home, by the very essence of the attachment, you should have demonic infestation manifestations. That's just logic. So in other words, you might hear bangings, you might hear disembodied voices, you can smell sulfur or rotten flesh, your animals are terrified, you have an overwhelming sense of dread, religious objects are desecrated. So these are things that's going to occur. So if someone tells me, look, I just have 3 scratches and that's it. Well, do you have anything else going on in your home? Nope. Well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you, sit there and tell you, yep, you have a demon. And even then, and let me tell you something. I don't see anything wrong with that dream catcher at all. And even if you tell me that you have 3 scratches and all hell is breaking loose in your home and all religious objects are desecrated, folks, here's the deal. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be crude. Unless I see it, I don't believe it. I cannot tell you, out of these 12,177 emails, there you go, right there, 12,177 emails. I guarantee you that the people who are telling me, who are contacting me, are telling me that the television is thrown across the room and these bangings and pulling hair and all this other stuff. And then when I show up, nothing happens. Or then when I show up, or investigators show up, we can't validate the claim. So if we can't validate the claim, I can't perform an exorcism on you. We have to verify it. I'm not going to just perform an exorcism. I don't perform exorcism on command. I simply don't do that. We have to follow protocol, because, and here's why. And I've said this before. One of the protocols is you have to have a psychological evaluation. Now, we have a licensed mental health therapist on our team. That's non-negotiable. So if you're going to tell me that you're possessed, then you will have to have a license. You will have to have an evaluation. And if you say no, then I can't help you. Now, people say that's not fair. Yes, it is. And actually, that's the right and moral thing to do. Because if someone has dissociative identity disorder and I perform an exorcism on that person, I can create another identity. If they're suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, and I perform an exorcism on them without having a psychological evaluation, I can put them in a manic state. So this is why I never do that without having a psychological evaluation, ever, and I never will. No, I won't do it. So you have to be really, really careful. And these people running around playing exorcists, they're going to kill somebody. And they're doing damage. I don't care what I don't like people putting a camera in front of somebody and then performing this ridiculous thing just for entertainment purposes. That to me is blasphemy. So people are asking me, well, why don't we ever see a video of you performing an exorcism? You'll never see me ever. You will never see me on camera performing an exorcism on anyone. Because I believe if I did that, I would lose my salvation. And I'm not going to lose my salvation because that would be blasphemy. Because that is a very sacred right. And an individual has gone through pure hell and suffering and struggles. And then I'm going to put a camera in front of that person just so I can get likes on social media? Give me a break. Really? I mean, are we that shallow to where we're going to use someone's suffering just so we can get likes on social media? The hell with that. I am not signing up for that. I won't ever do it. And I have been offered television shows. They told me, just perform an exorcism on camera. Why don't you go to church and ask for forgiveness for what you just done, Satan? It's terrible. It's terrible. I would never do that. That is so disrespectful. How would you like that if a clergy member came to your home? One of your family members was struggling with a demonic attachment or an exorcism or possession, and then some clown comes over to your home, puts a camera in front of your family, and your loved one is screaming and doing terrible things, and sometimes even embarrassing things, and they have no control over it, and they put a camera in front for entertainment purposes, and then they put it all over social media so they can get a lot of money. That to me would be one of the most offensive things someone could do to my family, especially if you're going to call yourself a pastor. Because I would consider you as an and 100% I would consider that person an antichrist. 100%. And that is how serious I am about that. What's the worst exorcism? I think the most emotional was the Incubus case, where she was 68 years old, and she was I can't, I got to be careful because I don't know who's watching, but she when I got involved, I've said this before, when I got involved, she was in the hospital because she had been ripped apart. There had been tearing in certain areas of her body. So let's just leave it at that. So yeah, that's because I grew to love her. She was one of the sweetest people in the world. I grew to love her family, and I worked with her for 3 years. And she would describe them as bed walkers, and three 10-pound bed walkers. I wish I could bring you on, but I can't bring you on. I apologize. So while she was in the bed and wide awake, does not sleep paralysis. She would describe them as like they're walking towards her, and then they would violently attack her. And she suffered with this for, I think, 5 years. And I worked with her for 3. And then the last year of her life, she was no longer being assaulted, but she could still feel the bed walkers, but they would never touch her. They would never touch her. And then the last year of her life, she was free from that. And then when she passed from natural causes, the family asked me to preside at her funeral. And that was hard. Thank you, Mr. Producer. That was hard. That was hard. Because I grew to love her, and she suffered. That was terrible. And and they had asked, they begged clergy to help her. They begged her, and they were all told by clergy, well, I'm sorry, you're not a part of this church. You can't, because you're not a part of it, because you don't tithe. It was just stupid stuff. Like, no one would help her. No one. And they were desperate. And so they contacted me. They I guess they saw me online or saw me on one of the shows. And I said, well, where do you live? And they told me. I said, okay, I'll be there this week or this weekend. And that's how it started. Yeah, well, she passed away from natural causes, but the last year of her life, she was no longer being assaulted. Yeah, she was a sweetheart. Thank you very much, Teresa. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stick. I can't stick with Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter because I have to close you guys out because we are running on StreamYard. So, but if you want to send me messages on Messenger and watch on TikTok, you can certainly do that. I'm going to be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Don't go anywhere, TikTok. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stick with you guys for a little bit longer. I'm going to be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From 8 to 8:30, Miss Wilma, who's 68 years old, she's a great friend of mine. And we're going to talk and we're going to have a good time. Just goof off for 30 minutes. And then I'll talk about all your paranormal questions. I'll present articles. I ran out of time tonight, but I'll present articles that I want to share with you tomorrow. And we'll go from there. For those of you on Spreaker, I'm going to have to say goodnight to you guys. Now, I tell you all the time that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB, radio, TikTok, and Clapper. Don't let anybody else tell you or convince you otherwise. Good night, guys. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.